And according to our rules of procedure, the secretary is to do a roll call of 10 members.
Okay. We're gonna do a roll call.
Yes, sir.
David Campbell.
Bill Terry.
Scott Badger.
Jamie now.
Paul Thompson.
Dick Bennett.
All right. And James Wasco is under the weather at the moment. He got his arm in a sling and broke a couple of bones, I guess. And so current voting member determination would be that Jane, I believe you're a voting member this evening. And also we have a live quorum, which means Sarah joining us. Sarah's joining us on Zoom, and you are a voting member as well.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, first order of business is to review the minutes of the Thursday, November 20th regular meeting. And hopefully they're up to snuff. Any changes?
I move that we accept the minutes.
I have a motion from Scott that we accept the minutes.
Second.
A second from Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
I will abstain because I don't know if they're right or wrong.
Whoa. Okay. It's not unanimous, we have one abstention. So noted. We are shy of any public. Does anyone among
make
the
one.
board may wish to make a public comment?
I'll make a board comment, a meta board comment.
Meta board.
Can we ask the board, the select board, 'cause I guess they would be the ones, to have a town Zoom account? So that we're not using the Campbell's account for our meeting, and so that we had to reschedule our meeting for the housing, workshop meeting for the housing commission, because not all were, were happy driving in the conditions yesterday. If we'd had Zoom, we could have done it that way for those that wanted to stay home. It just seems like there's lots of situations where Zoom is quite handy.
I would love it if you did that. It's come up before, and I think it'd be, I mean, we're always using Barbara's account for selectmen's meeting. It's just not the way we should be doing town business. And we shouldn't be running over to the library every time we need the owl. I mean, they're $400. So, yeah, I hope that's in the minutes, and I'll make sure to bring it up.
Is the issue the cost, or is
Yeah.
it or we shouldn't be using Zoom for meetings?
No, it's cost.
And how, Zoom is what, $20 a month?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
And that way, actually, it's better because then the town stores all the videos.
Right.
As opposed to
As
private.
opposed to we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
them on my system, I would delete them. I know we have that, but at least you would control it. You could,
Yeah.
Julie could delete them immediately.
You guys use Zoom just as much, if not more, than we do.
Yep.
So, yeah. And I hadn't even thought about the video piece on that, the importance of that. That ends up on somebody's personal computer,
Mhm.
and,
Well, it's on the cloud, actually. That's where we store it.
yeah. But I mean, it ends up in a non-town account,
That is
Mhm.
correct.
and, we spill over into non-public meetings.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of an instance where that's happened, it may have, where we're in a non-public meeting on someone's personal Zoom account.
Right.
That's not good.
No, it's not. And I brought it up a couple times, and it just, I got a response, and then it made, oh, okay, I guess we're not gonna do that. But,
You blame it on us now.
oh, I blame everything on this. Every other week.
Okay.
I have another public more of a cleaning or not kind of business that we have to keep in mind. I had these, Julie sent a much cleaner version of this schedule.
Yeah.
I had the whole schedule, Betsy gave me the whole schedule, but we have to think about, we have a lot of changes coming up for next year. We may have to, unless we can make a vote today, we may have to have another meeting, only because January 4th is the last day to post and publish a notice for any public hearing before the meeting. So January 4th, which is a Sunday, is the last day I can post anything.
Do we have anything that's not ready for that yet?
Well, we can talk through what we do and don't have that's on the agenda, so I don't think that's really a separate item. I think that's part of.
Right, so I just want everyone to keep that in mind when we're talking tonight. There's an urgency to get them approved so we don't have to meet again to make any kind of, because the last day to hold a public hearing is the 15th,
Yeah, it's early this year.
so everything's pretty. This one was nicer that she sent us. I had the full list, which I had to then find my stuff out of here.
Yeah.
This was much easier to find.
A lot of this caught me by surprise, but it just, I mean, obviously, we can't even accept petition zoning amendments, not, we get a lot of them, but those dates are, they're gonna be here before we know it.
They're gone.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, we can't even, not that we get a lot of them, but, as far as zoning amendments. So, yeah,
Okay.
All right. So move on to then the discussion on changes for the zoning ordinances that we need to do. The one listed here, the signage ordinance, I did some work on this, but we never met as a subcommittee to review that material. And based on the timing and what we have to do and just the review level to actually affect a change is more complicated than just simply
right,
looking at it and say, oh yeah, we can add 3 lines here. And some of the things from other zoning ordinances are 3 pages long. I had done some work with it. I provided you with a copy of the last meeting, Scott, and it's the stuff I got that I did is too complex. It needs to be it needs to have an effort to winnow it down to something that's more Jackson-like, because it's too inclusive. You start wrapping up the state level stuff that's already there, and our tendency is to not replicate what's available on the state level if it's there, and so doing it by reference means there's more work to be done. On that basis, and the fact that the one we have is currently from 1997, I don't see a lot of need to put this into hyperdrive to get it done this year. But I would like to put it on the plate for looking at this coming year and having it for the following year.
How much does this pertain to signage issues we've had recently?
The only thing I would think that, at least, and Bob, you probably have a better sense of it than I do, in terms of taking a look at what we actually did for the signage issues that we had. The actual current ordinance actually stood up.
Recording in progress.
It actually stood up for our need, but it wasn't as clear as you would like it to be for all the possibilities. And so in that respect, it was less than perfect. The other thing is that it makes some references that have been overlaid by state law since that time, and the state has some elements of the state law are more stringent than what we have, and therefore we either need to do a better job of referencing the state,
Or be more stringent
or
ourselves.
or look at it and say, no, we really don't like what the state has, and we want to have some twist or turn that we prefer. That requires discussion, that requires thinking, that requires the board doing a good job with it. I don't think we can do that in the short term. So,
And we've had sign issues in the
No,
past.
We had, the sign issue bubbled up with black.
Right, but have you had signage issues in the
No.
past before that? So
No.
other than that one occurrence, it doesn't
Right.
seem to be the most imminent concern.
right.
Even if you're only gonna change, 3 sentences in a half-page long ordinance, it's gonna require a lot of time.
Yeah.
To go through and get everybody's input, and then
Yep.
vote, and a second reading, and all of that.
Well,
So,
yeah,
you're right.
and I'd also like to make sure we wrap back with the select board on that, to make sure that, because you guys have some experience with it, and, does it meet your needs?
Mhm.
And we should deal with it, as you say, conclusively, because it's not what is happening now, it's what's gonna come at us.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know, and that's what we have to think about.
Yep.
What's
Yeah, we
gonna,
don't act in those keynote places.
Well, that's another thing we have on the agenda.
and also the lighting, I think will be important, so that it doesn't offend drivers. That was I think we
Can-
went
can
through
I-
that.
Quickly interject a public comment. I'm noticing more unshielded lights in town, and lights that are quite right on the edge of the road that would also, I think, be of some danger.
yeah.
I wonder whether Jackson needs to start looking at a lighting ordinance, an exterior lighting ordinance.
We have a lighting ordinance,
For neighbors, yeah.
we do, and it requires, actually, I believe this gentleman here was the person who drove that action back many years ago.
Sorry, I didn't even
Yeah.
think to look.
We do, we have one, but the fact of the matter is that, for example, I had suggested to some homeowner that maybe they needed to worry about their bright light in Carter Knox Road, and they said, they went to their lighting contractor and said, it's okay. It met code requirement, it does not meet code requirement, but.
But is our zoning ordinance based on neighborly complaints, or do we have an ordinance that says a light needs to be shielded in this particular way, it can only be so
Yeah.
bright, et cetera?
Light emitted by an installed fixture will be at an angle of 20 degrees or more below the horizontal plane at the bottom of the picture.
Right, but it does not necessarily need to be shielded laterally. It's a vertical thing, so you can have one posted, and if it has a 180 shine, it's going to shine both sides towards the road, and that does exactly what you're describing, so, yeah.
And when was that ordinance written? Probably,
2000,
It's on 2002. page 30 of our zoning ordinance, and it was added in 2002. And there's
So-
very definite regulations as to all non-exempt outdoor lighting fixtures shall be shielded in such a way that direct light emitted by the fixture will be at an angle of 20 degrees or more below the horizontal plane of the bottom of the fixture.
but that was way before halogen light bulbs were invented.
Yeah.
which creates a much brighter,
150 watts per luminaire.
yeah, it really should be.
And
more.
mercury vapor lamps are not permitted. Doesn't say anything about LED lights.
Yeah.
So this is
or-
2002.
They would, not in 2002, it probably.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't mean to interrupt the meeting, but just
Yeah,
something.
no,
since-
and those are changes, discussion on changes, what are we gonna be doing? And if that one's done, then the question would be, is it satisfactory?
Or also, are there lights that are simply not, they're not following our regulation? I mean, I know one on Carter Notch, it's like a car with their high beams on
Yeah.
when you're driving.
We're probably talking about the same one.
Okay, so,
And somehow it does not seem to be shielded in any
Yeah.
fashion that I could reckon.
so getting back to the sign, are we
Sorry,
tabling that?
sounds like it.
Well,
Are we closing?
Well,
I think we need to.
does the planning board feel like, or are these the only two ordinances that you were intending to maybe get on?
Well, no, the signage ordinance was a separate one to update because we had a separate activity. We have a list of, from last minutes,
From the last minute.
4 items that we discussed last time, plus the short-term rental one that we discussed. The other one that we wanted to talk about was the request that I don't want to get ahead. Well, let me get ahead. Signage ordinance, let's just agree that we're not going to deal with that right now, and we're going to put it off till
I
next
motion
year.
that it's tabled.
Well, I guess, yeah, my question was, how many unfinished ordinances?
That's the
at
only
this
one.
point? That's the only one, the signage ordinance?
Yes.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
So there's.
Unless,
All right.
There's one others that we, apparently wasn't in the notes from your minutes last year that I
Yes.
reviewed. There's one more.
the
change.
short-term rental one,
No, there's also the ZBA rules.
CBA role, excuse me.
It's the ordinance that a ZBA member has to, we have to have it
Oh,
clearly
okay,
states
yeah,
where they
yeah,
have to exempt themselves from the vote. We don't say that in our ordinance,
No, we don't.
but the change that occurred that goes into effect next year, we have to have an ordinance that tells people that if you sit on both, you have to, any decision that's, Jim sits on both, the ZBA and this. So if something we talk about, he cannot participate on the ZBA, and it has to be
Isn't
clear.
that an issue though, because the ZBA is only 3 people?
Yeah.
Governor, the legislation.
I know, but within our,
Well-
probably they can be larger boards.
When you and I went, there were 4. I think it's a 5-person board.
It's a
but
5-person
it
board.
It was Frank, Dave, Huntley,
Oh, yeah.
Jim Wasco is,
Jim.
And Jim, okay.
and they were short a 5th person, but since that meeting, they have gotten another person on the board.
Okay, all right.
But I don't know who it is.
I'm just saying that was one that was left.
yeah, and then the question is, does that belong in our zoning ordinance, because it's a state law?
Or is that part of the ZBA?
Or is that part of the ZBA's?
In our zoning ordinance.
Or should
And I'm
it just be in our
doing that
rules
myself.
of procedure?
In theirs, we have a section on the zoning, the ZBA in our zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
So.
Sarah, what do you
I'm sure.
think?
That sounds to me like it's something that goes in the, is it bylaws that we have?
Yes,
Yeah. Because that covers our procedures and et cetera.
yeah, and because it's a state law, that's not something we need to go to the voters for approval.
No, I don't think so.
We don't-
It's just
we
a
just-
case of,
That's just simply a housekeeping.
If we put it in the bylaws? Or-
It would, either which way, a
Oh.
housekeeping effort is not
Okay,
require that we go before
We
the
just have to
voters.
keep up with the state standards.
It just says it very clearly, you have to, it has to be written somewhere that.
Yeah,
people understand.
in our bylaws, we have a conversation around when you need to excuse yourself.
Right.
And I think we could update that to include the conversation of if you are both a member of.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Sarah?
Yeah, the way I interpreted, just the summary sheet that you saying, I haven't read the actual law, but the summary sheet seemed to indicate that if, let's say we discuss a situation in the planning board and they don't really like what our ruling is, so they take it to the ZBA, then if you are also on the ZBA, then you would have to excuse yourself
Yeah.
from the discussion and voting in the ZBA.
And this is only,
Vice versa, but I don't think there's things that are taken up by the ZBA that we then talk about in the planning board. I think
It's possible that they could, it's possible that they could cycle through. It could be something that we've reviewed, for example, a subdivision plan, and something that then goes to the ZBA for an exception, and it's still not complete. And then the planning board then has to have had the ZBA input and then approve a plat.
what goes through the
I mean, it'd be strange, it would be unusual, but it's possible.
So what goes
So
through
if
the
you're-
ZBA
if you're
that
in-
does, sorry,
if you're in both boards, then you just participate in the discussion of one board, but not the other.
Right.
Either way.
so what goes through the ZBA that doesn't come through the planning board first?
Something that's gone through the select board.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
select board sense.
Where they've done something, then it gets appealed to the ZBA, and then because of what the ZBA says, then it comes back here, and we have
Right.
something that we have to do.
But it's very rare.
That was a, we
But
have,
I was just thinking I guess I was saying more that, you come to us for a subdivision, we refuse it because of
Mhm.
something
Yeah.
or other, and then you go to the ZBA, but.
So Jim, because he sits on both, he would have to recuse himself from either this discussion, because the way the rule is, he has to abstain from one of
one or
them.
the other.
So he can abstain from our discussion if he wants to participate in the ZBA,
Abstain by vote or by
by
participation?
discussion and voting.
You can hear the discussion, you can sit and listen.
But he can't add to it.
Yeah.
He can do that here, and then he can participate in the ZBA, and vice versa. If he does it here, he can't do it there.
All right, I'm going to ask for a vote of the planning board then to update our bylaws to include reference to the language relative to excusing a member of the planning board who's also a member of the ZBA from participating in both discussions.
I'll second that.
Okay, I think I asked for a motion. You wanna make the motion?
Oh, I thought you were making a motion.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Scott's making the
I'll
motion.
second that
And we have a
motion.
second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Did your motion just have discussion only or discussion and voting?
It's discussion and voting. It's the same law. It's House Bill 92. It just
Oh.
spells out that.
Oh, so it references House Bill 92, okay.
Yeah, it's House Bill 92 that we're referencing.
was the motion sufficient for your question?
Well, I wasn't listening as intently and I didn't realize, I was wondering if I heard voting in the motion.
I basically said we want to incorporate the language of,
Okay,
which includes both.
there you go.
I think I'm covered.
Yeah. Right, Julie?
That's what he said. That's what he motioned, that's what I seconded.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, to your point around the scheduling, we have the things that we discussed at last meeting, and that are in the minutes, which I managed to make sure I documented. And also, our prior meeting, we had one relative to the sunsetting of the short-term rental process. And for that one, we voted, and I don't believe we actually did a vote for these changes. I took the notes, and I don't have votes listed for us having agreed to the language changes here as recommended by the planning board. So what I'd like to do is, now that we have them written out for everybody to look at them, again, to have that vote, to your point, David, we'll vote at this meeting, we'll have the language in place for the available. We've already done it for the short-term rental sunset piece, and that was voted on.
Okay.
If we vote on these, have those, we're all set for doing our notice and having our hearing. I would also then, because I've already gotten approval from the select board, take the language that's here and provide that to Jason Dennis so he can review it and determine whether or not there's anything that he sees that is inappropriate from a warrant article perspective. But we should also establish the warrant language for these changes.
Right.
So that we can review that with him, and for him to look at it and say, and we do this every year anyway, but for him to look at it and say, yeah, those are good or not. I think several of us are signed up for something this next week or so to also have another go-around of listening to NHMA guidelines on any of these changes. And in the event something comes up that tells us we didn't do everything we were supposed to, we can talk about that. But I think we've covered the basics of things that affect us in town. There were so many, there were like 18 different things, but a lot of them don't apply to a town that does not have a sewer system. And so we don't qualify for some of the changes. The other thing is that because our whole thing on accessory dwelling units and also on housing, we have been more open about our provisions than many towns have been. So a lot of the things that passed just codify what we already do, which is kind of cool.
Shouldn't there be a state short-term rental?
Well, that
HB, just like ours.
yeah, someday, maybe, who knows? I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not.
So yeah, I think we have. But what I guess I'm leading up to is I think we need to vote on these changes that are identified in last month's minutes, so that we can then recommend them and have part of the whole public hearing process. Everybody agree with that? And there's the last part of the discussion. I still have a third dot point that I'd like to get at after we have this vote. And I'm doing that as much to remind myself as to let you guys know. But going back to the minutes, those changes include a section 7 for parking. And the only change would be that in the parking guideline on dwelling units, we would cross out the number 2 and add the number 1. For the dwelling units, 1 spaces per dwelling unit. I included the language above, but there's no changes to that.
That's good, because I read it 3 times to try to figure out what the change was.
No change. The only changes are identified with line outs and
Okay.
then,
Got it?
So it'd be 1 space.
Yeah, it's 1 space now.
yeah, the new law requires that the max.
No, I meant the word in here. That should be space, not spaces, correct?
Yes, 1
It should be
space.
1 space, yes. And there is a line out in the letter S, but you can't see it very well.
No, there is one there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, sorry.
It's very difficult to see it.
I heard you say 1
Yeah.
spaces, I thought, so that's why.
Okay, so that,
No, 1 space is
Say
bad,
couple
yeah. Okay,
Good
yeah.
band name.
okay.
So that's the only change, and so.
Do you want to do them all and we'll vote on?
I think we have to vote on each one separately,
Okay.
so why don't we do that?
I move that we make that change.
A motion by Scott,
Second?
second by David. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. All right, on section 9, accessory apartments, there were several different things. One is that the change is that a property owner can have an ADU by right. And so having a minimum lot size for a dwelling unit with an accessory apartment shall be determined by pointing that out in the accessory apartment process seem to counter the fact that you can have one by right. We have a minimum lot requirement that is 6.1.4 that does not talk about accessory apartments, and therefore I don't see why we need to put something about minimum lot size in the accessory apartment if that is available by right.
But it still has to qualify by septic, right?
Nothing's changed there. Yes, you're right.
Isn't 6.1.4 the septic requirement?
No, the ADU does have a requirement for septic still, and that has nothing to do with lot size.
Well, septic has to do with lot size.
Yeah, but you either qualify for a septic or you don't qualify for a septic.
We can't disqualify an ADU for lot size.
Right.
We
just-
have lot size requirements
Right.
that are valid. If it fits within that,
No, I guess what I'm saying is, say someone is at the very limit of what their lot currently supports for septic.
Yep.
Based on soils and size.
Right.
Can they put in an ADU if they cannot absorb any more?
Likely not, because they still have to qualify for the septic.
Right,
But is it
So it's septic
6.1?
driven,
right.
but with different septic requirements out, or septic technology out there these days, aren't they able to?
State doesn't allow.
The state doesn't
They,
allow.
they allow you to use some innovative technology.
Right,
It has no impact on your.
on size.
On size, yeah.
Okay.
Which is
So,
counterproductive.
so bottom
I thought we
line,
were
the answer to
dealing
your
with
question
something.
is that if they're already at the limit,
Mhm.
then they have to make the accommodation to have the septic meet whatever they're trying to build.
But
But it wouldn't
I
be
just-
based on lot size, it
but I
would be
just
based
thought-
on septic.
Right, but our septic's based on lot size.
Right.
This is a catch-22.
No, it's the other way around, the lot size is determined by the septic. You can't build a house bigger than your septic,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So the lot size.
But the lot size you can have is determined by the septic it supports.
But that would apply to any house, and I
Right.
think what this is, you can't have it singled out for accessory dwelling units.
Okay, I just thought 6.1.4 defines.
A single, it's a
septic.
single family dwelling.
And it still does.
Right. I mean, it does,
And it
Mention
also
accessory
is
apartment.
multifamily. It's at 6.1.5 for cluster single-family development and multifamily residential development.
Mhm.
And it's just based on the number of bedrooms.
Yeah.
So if you're adding an ADU, you're adding another, at least one more bedroom.
Right.
And so you've got to still go by 6 point,
Because that would be the
it
same
needs
as,
to be 6.1.5.
right. Would that be better to change?
It should be just
6.1.4
as
is for more than
determined by the
4.
requirements of, should be just section 6 is what it should be.
Yeah,
So then they figure out,
Wouldn't it be 6.1.4? Because if you don't have 4 bedrooms, you're already approved for 4 bedrooms, because that's our requirement.
right.
You can add a bedroom, and you're not overdoing your septic.
okay, all right,
And so it's really more if that ADU is more than, is a fifth or a fifth bedroom.
All right, so are you suggesting that we still need to have some kind of reference here to that? Or is it satisfactory for us to just use section 6 requirements for any build?
Yeah,
Or if we say nothing, is it required by default? Kind of like what you were saying.
Yeah, I think it is, but what do you think?
I think it's, if we leave it alone, I think we're safer,
but I
Yeah,
don't think it should be
I-
6.14.
leave it
you
there.
know?
Because 6.14 is single-family dwelling, and this would not be a single-family dwelling.
Well, it does reference accessory apartment, and it's really about more than 4 bedrooms.
All right, so I'm hearing conflicting views. Do we want to keep it as is? Do we want to eliminate it? Do we want to change it? Those are the 3 opportunities.
I think we should keep it.
I would say to keep it as is, because 6.1.4 says then, that it leads you to 6.1.5.
Yeah. If it's gonna be more than 4 bedrooms, then you use 6.1.5 to
Right.
determine.
All right, so I hear a motion to not make a change on 9.3.
I'll
Do I
make
hear a
that
motion?
Do we need a motion if we're not changing anything?
Only because I want to show it as in the minutes that we voted on not accepting that change.
Okay.
I have a motion not to make a change, not that 9.3.
I'll second.
I'll make that motion.
I have one from Dick already. He's nodding over
Okay,
there.
I'll-
You can't see
Nodding
him.
off.
And,
No, I
No.
see you.
Yeah, second.
and Scott has seconded.
It's done a second, and I'll vote for it.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor of retaining 9.3
Six.
As written.
as written? Aye? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. I'm a little bit more comfortable with 9.5. Thank you very much.
Yes, so am I.
9.5, the language that is lined out is the exact language that used to be in the RSA. And it was replaced with the exact language that follows. And that is that an attached accessory apartment shall have an independent means of ingress and egress or through a common space, i.e. shared hallway, shared with the principal dwelling unit.
Yep.
That is word for word what the RSA says.
And the difference is we had an interior door shall be provided.
And that is what was required previously.
That was the state gave us that.
Yes, the state gave us that language and the state has taken it away. I have a motion to accept the new language for
I
9.5.
motion we accept the new language.
I have a motion to accept,
Second?
second from Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. 9.7, no accessory apartment shall have more than, our current requirement is more than one occupant per 250 square feet of space. The new law says you can't do that. And that the maximum limit that you can have is 2 occupants per bedroom. And so I offered out that we should use the maximum, the minimum, whatever. You could restrict it to 2 occupants per bedroom, and that was the least amount you could have as an occupancy requirement. And so I made that the one that we would use. You could say 3 or 5 or 7, but 2 is the one that, the least amount you could allow.
Like with our short-term rental, do
Yeah.
we need to define where the number of bedrooms comes from?
No, because accessory apartment has number of bedrooms.
Okay.
Yep, 9.6 says that.
Hmm?
What if your ADU is a short-term rental, and the short-term rental application says 2 per bedroom plus 2?
Mhm.
That would mean that if you have if I'm understanding correctly and I'm understanding our limitation, if someone is going to use an ADU as a short-term rental, then based on the change, they would not be able to advertise for more than 4 people if they had 2 bedrooms.
Right, but what I'm asking is, in our short-term rental, we specify number of bedrooms according to the lesser of tax card and septic approval.
Right.
And so do we need to specify where the number of bedrooms is?
How it's determined.
Basically. So we you're saying do we use the same criteria?
Or someone builds an ADU,
That based on the
they're
tax.
going to have to get some sort of septic approval for that extra bedroom or bedrooms. We don't require them to put in a new septic, but they do need to get a plan, you know, that works. But it just, is it possible that there would be?
I thought we had for ADU, now this is not,
You can only have 2, maximum
Yeah.
2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms and 800 square feet.
Yep.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's my understanding.
Right.
So that's for an ADU. Now,
But if
what if
someone,
you have enough land, you could build a second house.
no, what I'm asking is, so you have it, you put up an ADU, it has 1 bedroom, because that's what you offer septic plans for.
Mhm.
But then, they wanna have 4 people living there, and they say, well, it has 2 bedrooms. don't we need to say here's where it shows that you only have one bedroom?
We've never,
So in the short-term rentals, we reference the tax card
Yeah.
or the septic approval as defining the number of bedrooms.
I see.
I'm just wondering, where do we define the number of bedrooms in this situation?
I thought ADUs were defined as 2 bedrooms,
Maximum of 2 bedrooms.
maximum of 2 bedrooms. That's already in,
Right, but that's just says it's a max. So in that theory, if somebody builds a 2-bedroom ADU, then they can put in 6 people.
I'm not talking about short-term rentals, I'm saying they build a one-bedroom ADU, but then they wanna have, then the 4 people are now living there. Where can we say you only have 1 bedroom? Where's the reference for that? In short-term rentals, we point to the tax card or
Right,
the
but why
septic
would we,
approval.
they only have 1 bedroom, they can have 4 people living there, what's the problem? That's the way.
We say 2 people per
Wait,
bedroom.
wait. This says specifically that we're changing that if they have 1 bedroom, they can only have 2 people live there, period, end of story.
And how do we prove that they only have 1 bedroom when they're saying they have 2 bedrooms? At whatever point in time.
well, that would have been for the construction approval.
I'm just asking if
But
there's
they're
a.
not having 2 bedrooms. We're saying that they can say, there's a conflict between the short-term rental definition, which says a bedroom, but the bedroom itself is not what has 2 plus. It's
I'm not,
misleading.
yeah, I'm not talking
No,
about short-term rentals.
please, if we could just stop talking about
Right.
short-term
Yeah.
rentals.
I'm
Because
just
he's
using
asking the
that.
definition.
No,
we use
no,
the
he's
definition.
asking about the definition of bedrooms.
Right, and
So-
short-term rental is the only place we define it.
And I'm just saying, should we do it the
He's
same
saying,
way
do we need to
here?
do it similarly here?
Right.
And we don't, I see your point. The point is that previously our occupancy was based on a square footage.
And that was very.
And now we're describing it as a per bedroom. And so then the question is, and this is where, we've already done the work in the short-term rental thing for them. But the question is, I think Scott's asking is, do we need to do it similarly here and replicate that language? Or is it one of those things that is by definition, to, I think, Dick's point, that when an ADU is built, you identify and have to identify when you build one, whether you're building 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms.
Same with the short-term rental property too. I mean, you always have to identify the number of bedrooms.
But
for
you,
your
you
septic
have, you
approval.
always have, for an ADU, you always have a building permit. 100% of the time we'll have a building permit, and we say,
You do now for homes, it's just that we didn't in the past.
yeah, but any approval of an ADU going forward is going to have a building permit.
Right, and do we not need to reference that building? I mean, why are we referencing the tax card or the septic approval for short-term rentals if?
No, I
Because,
think it's absolutely appropriate to include that language of the ordinance, to align the ordinance with the short-term rental application language, just for continuity's sake. I think it makes a lot of sense.
So-
We don't have to, because we're just adopting the state, just says 2 occupants per bedroom, but it's so cloudy compared to what we put into that, and you guys put a lot of work into that. I mean, it's like number of bedrooms listed on the town tax card, building permit, or septic approval. That's right, what's in the application. I think it makes sense that they align.
so can we just steal the language from the other?
Yeah.
I understand your point, I'm not arguing your,
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make things more complicated either, it's just,
Yeah, the question is, if we're gonna do it,
we get into a lot of
Do we end up-
arguments over number of bedrooms of short-term rental and, thought that we really needed to codify what defines the number of bedrooms exist in that property.
Well, it's interesting
Have
because
that
you can,
sentence continue. 2 occupants per bedroom, based on the number of bedrooms listed in the town tax card, building permit, or septic approval.
Should it be lesser of, greater of,
Lesser.
in case there's any?
it's a lesser
The
of.
lesser of the number.
All right, so,
So I'll make a motion that 9.57 read no accessory apartments are more than 2 occupants per bedroom as specified by the lesser of the tax card, septic approval, or building permit.
Lesser of the number of bedrooms listed on the town tax card, building permit, or septic approval, yeah.
replicating the same
Yes.
language that is in the short-term rental.
Number 8 on the
Reference.
application, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second,
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
right?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? In case my ears weren't working. All right, so
Okay,
that is the current listing of things that we expect to change this year. Now, the reason I have the third dot point, and I asked David to add this, is that we had a request from Julie regarding short-term rental applications. And according to the memo she sent, I've not seen it, Bob, that you guys have talked about it at any select board meeting, but that you wish to enforce some form of biannual registration of all short-term rental properties to verify that people are abiding by state law, which, if I understand correctly, that's not a legal thing to do. To actually put a tax on something, a local tax, on a requirement for a state license, unless it's authorized by the state. For example, if you're registering your vehicle. We have nothing in our current short-term rental thing other than suggesting at the time that someone gets a conditional use permit that they comply with the law. Then we have nothing for a follow-up other than if there's a change in ownership so that we get a re-registration. When we went to council, we had a choice between doing a conditional use permit and a licensing process. Licensing processes suggest that you're going to have biannual, semi-annual, annual, whatever it is, and you're going to charge a fee and other things. We chose not to go that way because of the cost associated with it and the fact that we felt that it was an additional tax on short-term rental owners that was inappropriate. If you wish to go to a licensing process, then the question would be, how do you go about doing that? And then the question is really, is there a reason to do some sort of biannual process for a permit that runs with the property? I'm just,
I think it would all start with council. You know, if there's a wish to at least consider some sort of licensing process or biannual re-registration, I think the first step is to go to council and say, is this possible? What would be involved in changing it from the CUP to licensing? And then really look at what's in front of us.
yeah, and then the other question is that would it actually apply to people who already have?
or would it be only to those moving
Right,
forward?
I mean,
Or would they be grandfathered, in which case 98% of everybody who has a short-term rental would not have to apply to your new provision? Because that's the way zoning ordinances work these days.
I don't even remember when we had that conversation. We've had loose discussions around permit fees, just like we have for the transfer station
Mm.
recently, but we haven't come up with any kind of definitive
And I guess the,
decisive
question
position.
is it an intent to reduce or limit short-term rental applications in the first place, or is it
No,
to cover the
Cover
cost
the
of,
cost
of
of the
short-term
time.
rental
Yeah.
applications
Right.
and enforcement?
and I think it may have come from Kevin. I shouldn't even use name, but I mean, it just came from some form, as I recall it, analysis of time spent
Mhm.
on it.
But also, didn't it have to do with also that if there's nothing in the process, we work it off of a good thing to do, or it should be done, but if I change the ownership of the management service of my short-term rental, who updates that to the town? Because the town uses that if in case there was a problem. How do we update that? Where do we get an updated tax card? Do we care to have an updated meals and food tax card? Because that expires every 2 years. So,
Except for the 85% who use a third party. Most everybody uses a third party, don't have an individual room and meals tax.
but I'm just saying, that's
I'm
where
just
I think,
saying, I know, if you create a process, and you create a process because you have maybe the one or two folks that,
but they still need to have one. They may not have one.
yeah, but we don't regulate that, we're not the state.
I'm just saying.
We don't ask them to have insurance either. You're asking for us to become.
I'm just saying what's on the application. We have them provide that to us.
But
when
again,
they
I think
apply
the first step
application.
is, under a CUP, is any of this even possible, and is
Yeah.
it legal? And then, if it is, then we can discuss whether it's appropriate or, something we desire, but I think there's no sense in discussing it unless we know that it can be done.
I agree with that, and we didn't get that far. So if you want to, put something in writing in the minutes, then, and recommend that gets on the next select board agenda,
Yeah.
it's easy enough for us to pass it over to council at that point.
My only general concern, and I don't know where the tipping point is, but at some point when you talk about costs of owning a short-term rental, it would trigger lawsuits. And, an extra $100 a year probably is not gonna trigger a lawsuit, but where the point is that someone
Right.
decides that they're gonna sue us instead of paying, we've had one threatened lawsuit, over a ridiculous issue, but, that would be my one concern. If we start ramping up literally the cost of a short-term rental to the short-term rental owner, the likelihood that we'll see a lawsuit just starts to increase. I mean, I think we're pretty far away with the current
Yeah.
cost. I think we could, there could be some increase maybe in the initial permit fee, or the initial fee. But that's just something to consider as we go, as we don't, where we've been most successful with our short-term rentals, we've not been sued, like virtually every other town has tried to do.
That's fair, but, and I think the other part that entered into the discussion was just a way to stay in touch, so that this isn't an approval in perpetuity
Yeah.
with.
And in principle, I think it sounds totally reasonable. It's just that I think with a CUP, it just
Yeah.
may not be legally possible.
And I think that
That
makes the most sense for me, is that we should run this by town council. And of course, town council is gonna say, oh, no, well, you know what the town council is gonna say. In my opinion,
I can't defend that.
I can't say for sure, but
Yeah.
I know there's gonna be an invoice for this.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I know for sure. No, he's great, and I mean, he'd do due diligence to that, for sure.
And also Jason was involved when we did do the process for creating the short-term
Yeah.
rental.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's the one who recommended strongly that we use the conditional use permit as opposed to licensing, after he'd done the research for the firm. Peter obviously was the principal working with us. But, the other item that came our way was regarding special events. Again, this is from an item that I received and I shared with David and Scott on a request to build an ordinance for special events. And the reference was made that other towns' zoning ordinances have special events, and the reference was made to Bartlett, and Bartlett does have one. Their reference to special events in their zoning ordinances because they have a noise ordinance on their zoning ordinance, and it says the word special events. That is the only reference to special events in the zoning ordinance in Bartlett. The entirety of their program is a select board special events ordinance. I did an AI on it. I'm happy to provide the output on it, and
What are we thinking to do about special events?
well, I think it came up in it comes up in a couple of places, but even just in the Conway Daily Sun today, and you saw that Freiburg has a major event each year, it's a special event, and they don't pay for the police support. And the police support in that instance is much greater than anything that we would recognize. But they don't have a special events ordinance that specifically says if you have a special event that you're responsible for obtaining the additional. And if you look at the Bartlett one, it had, bangity, bangity, bang. You have to get a permit. You have to make sure you have coverage for security, that if you make use of a police force, you have to pay for the additional charge for the people. And it's a very clear and
And how do they define a special event?
special event is defined in state law. That's what a special event is, and
How is that defined?
they replicate what's a bit in the state law.
Right, but what qualifies as a special event?
Actually, juggling.
Duck race.
Yeah,
What?
duck race would be a special event.
Yeah.
Or duck race.
Juggling is referenced.
Mm-hmm.
If it's somebody's coming in, they're doing juggling or anything that's unusual, not expected, not every day.
Okay.
And it really is. It does. It references juggling.
I mean, I would have thought it would be the size, number of people attending, or, because that's where you're gonna incur those greater service costs, if it's more than 20 people or
The
something.
definition of a special event in New Hampshire is primarily determined by the municipal level, rather than a single statewide law, and generally refers to a temporary public gathering that may require a special permit. So it's a special occasion.
It's a special event if it requires a special permit. It's
There is no
perfectly
state- there's
circular,
no state
there's
law.
no,
Common elements are location. The event is often take place in a public setting. Scope. There are typical pre-planned temporary events such as parades, carnivals, fairs, concerts, festivals, or races. Impact. The expectation is the event will cause a public gathering that is not part of the location's normal business function.
and that's sort of what I was getting at,
I mean, it's
Black
very spelled
Mountain,
out.
you could say it's a special event every day because they have this, everybody, a lot of people gather for an outdoor activity.
And then they say the normal purposes is to public welfare, manage traffic, coordinate emergency services, prevent disruption of any governmental or municipal
and
operations.
for example, the Bartlett Code also provides very nicely, for example, for temporary signs. That would be necessary for a special event, which I think would be most appropriate. Anyway, that was,
And Conway has one.
yeah, Conway has one, Bartlett,
reference
Holderness, most everybody has, we don't have one in town. And so to the extent we don't have one, or at least I don't think we have one, and so I don't see that, you know, it was pushed our way as something that the planning board should consider. I don't see it as a planning board function. And the reason I don't, it's not something that I think we would prohibit by rural or village districts. According to the state statute, it is a select board that is responsible for this. So I don't know why it got pushed our way.
Well, partly because we come up with the words many times for the selectmen. So I can see it being pushed our way.
Yeah.
I wonder where that is in Bartlett. It's just a town ordinance, it's not a zoning ordinance.
It's a town ordinance. I can forward you the material.
That'd be good to look at that. I love all the wonderful things we're getting for our agendas out of this meeting.
Not that you don't have enough to deal with for the next 4 weeks,
It
right?
came up though, it came up in the settlement agreement, you know, and so, and
Well,
we didn't
again,
really necessarily have enough time to go out exploring when it came up either, because
well, not to harp on Black, but the Black's normal operation would be considered a special event if they're having
Right.
fireworks and, you know, attracting people who
Right.
are out there. to go
Snow
skiing.
bars and fireworks and.
You know, then that
Yeah.
would be, and
Yeah.
And
Well,
we defined a special event in that agreement as not including normal business hour ski activities, including Friday Night Lights. So the special events in the agreement with Black were primarily focused on security on different hours of normal ski area operation.
But it would also
we-
apply, not just the, it would also apply to the chamber, would have to get a
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
permit.
Yeah.
Permit.
Yeah, and it makes sense to have one with
Mhm.
special events, and we may have lots of special events in the future, who knows, maybe it's a sign of the times, but it was primarily around, you know, serving alcohol without security personnel. And so we defined a number, and we defined a ratio of security personnel per number of people attending, and such security shall be retained through a private security company licensed pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 106-F, because there are state statutes around licensed security providing organizations, or an extra duty police detail.
Right.
So, it would be good to have a general special permit application, especially to cover where alcohol may be served.
I agree with the intent and the need for it. I just don't know that something that the planning board
Yeah,
should.
no,
should
but I
do.
mean, I'm sure we would, you know, when the day came, we would craft something like that. It certainly probably won't be until after the March meeting, but, have it on our list for things to take a look at next year. We want to kind of run it by the planning board once we get something, or,
as a resident, I would want to not make it too difficult
right.
to have special events. I think, you know, the duck thing, the barn dance, the bridge dance,
Yeah.
that would be a special event.
Yep.
And I think for the most part,
And I don't think we want to dissuade people from
No,
doing
and
those. sorts of
security
things.
personnel doesn't even click in until the anticipated draw in a crowd in excess of 1,000 people. So we felt it was pretty reasonable.
it shouldn't just be something that's in a settlement agreement. It should be basically for
Right.
anybody
Yeah.
who's
Right.
trotting out.
Right, I just don't
Weddings
want to
up
make
there,
it,
halfway up the mountain, you know, weddings, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a
I
special-
just wouldn't want to make it too broad and too onerous that we stop having some of these events because people
No.
don't want to make, you know, don't want to
It
cover
could, it could be broad, but not onerous.
or onerous and not broad.
No, not that. Or, yeah, it could be onerous and not broad as well. Yes, it could be both of those things.
But I just think most of the
With a
special
good beat
events
in the
we
middle.
have add to the value of being in Jackson.
Yeah.
They're good events, and so not.
Anyway, those were two items that got pushed our way from, and they were sent to me for consideration for the planning board, and I just wanted to make sure we brought them out in the public discussion, so that it's not something that I'm just sitting with. But again, I don't think either of those are things that would be anything that we would be able to pick up on during this cycle.
But not that we wouldn't pick it up, you don't feel that it's within our privy to actually do it.
Either which way, yeah. I don't,
Exactly.
yeah, no, I don't feel
That's
it's,
what I'm-
I don't feel it's ours.
Right.
But even to participate in, for example, if there was going to be a short-term rental change to a licensing program, that would definitely
Yeah,
affect
yeah,
us.
yeah.
And I don't think we have the bandwidth to participate in that in the next 6 weeks.
And I don't think these guys have the capacity to do it.
Well, you never know, you know.
The other thing that came late to us, which was this Keno,
No, yeah, that just came today.
but the reality is that's a year and a half from now.
It
So we don't
is-
have to do anything until till 2027.
Right,
So there's no urgency to it,
yeah, June 1st, 2027.
which is,
Sarah, do we already have something on gaming in our zoning ordinance? I thought we already had that.
We used to have slot machines.
So it has to do with,
Slot machines, doesn't it?
One more
It
problem had
is
slot
on-
machines.
what you can do in different divisions. Use is permitted.
Yeah.
well, there's a new law that goes into effect June 1st of 2027. That if a town doesn't have it where they're opting out, saying you can't do it, you automatically allow it.
Right,
It's the opposite of what we do. It's automatically saying it's okay.
yeah,
So we have to create something,
opt-in versus opt-out.
right, that says, no.
But if someone comes to us, someone wants to build a Keno, whatever, before then, what do we have to say you can't?
We don't.
Right, so why would we wait?
We could-
I mean, we
I
don't
know
have.
if people are beating down the doors
In
to
theory,
build a
someone
key.
would have to come in and want approval from the town.
Right, I'm just saying that we may have till 27, but I think we probably want to get it done
Yeah,
sooner than that.
you would
Not-
want that.
not
But
this
that would mean we
cycle.
have to make a decision sometime before the end of this month.
Okay,
No,
well,
no.
we,
Yeah, because it has to go.
In our, next year, we have a year, we have all.
Well, no, but
26.
the point is that what would happen if someone applied in January of next year?
okay, is allowed, the way we did it, when we rewrote,
It's not
you
allowed
can
until
have either a
27.
permissive, ordinance, or you can have it, you can either say all the things that you can do, and if it's not listed, you can't do it, or you can list all the things you can't do, and if it's not there, then you,
But ours is the permissive one, right?
Yeah.
ours says what you can do, all the uses in the rural residential district, in restaurants, and then professional and or commercial businesses, except for, and, business, 1, 2, and then 3 is businesses of facilities that contain more than 3 coin, ticket, or token operated games, or 4 casino gambling, amusement parks or arcades, water slides or other commercial slides, or similar entertainment.
And HB 737 also just references games of chance. I mean, it's, everybody's calling it the Keno, you know, but it's any game of chance.
All right, so what we would be talking about then would be adding to 4.3.2.1, and make a subset for item 3.
Yep,
Uh,
could add another.
Can we just add another item 8 and just say
Keno,
and just say Keno?
or games of chance,
Mm-hmm.
such as, but not,
Limited to,
including, but, how's that, there's the wording there,
not limited to.
but not limited, thank you, but not limited to Keno.
All right, do we want to do that now?
Sure.
But, so we're saying we're gonna allow it?
No, it's, you can have a
It's an except for.
commercial
Ex-
businesses,
It says
except for.
you can do things except for these following things.
So you can do anything else, you can have a real estate agent, you can have a dentist office, but you can't have a casino gambling.
You need to keep on reading down.
Oh, okay, so this is where. so it's
Essentially, the municipality would vote to opt out, and then Jackson would not be a town that allows
Correct,
Keno or other games of chance.
games of chance.
And so it seems like that could be,
Well, why
But
don't
do we
we
make it-
vote on it now if we agree?
Well, instead of adding, why wouldn't we just change 5 from casino gambling to games
games of
of chance?
chance.
Because that's what casinos are, is a game of chance. It's the same thing. You can either do one way or the other.
So we can, okay, so you're suggesting that we amend 4.3.2.1, 3, in parens, item 4, which currently reads casino gambling, to read instead
All games of chance.
All games of chance.
all game, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Games of chance, such as but not limited to casino gambling and Keno.
Like that.
Okay, that wording. Do I have a motion?
A motion for that word.
Jane, I have a motion. Thank you. Second. I have a second from Dick. All in favor? Aye. Done.
And that'll be another vote. Or is that just, that's not housekeeping.
No, that's not housekeeping.
Right, that's another warrant part of that, another long list of warrants I got. Right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in your warrant list.
and what was the reference on that in the zoning ordinance? 4.
4.3.2.1, so it's 4321, which is nice and easy. And item 3. And
4.
no, it's
No.
item 3.
Oh, item 3.
And it's item IV
Yeah, casino
or
gambling.
4, if you want to translate. Among that, to amend the current language that was set in
Would not use- Would we
1982.
not use like snake eyes or something for one of the?
You said including but not limited to, right?
Yes,
That's a village district
Yeah.
only.
Yes.
So that's the only place where we're gonna reference that.
Yes, because it's not permitted at all.
None of this.
None of these are permitted in the rural residential district,
Oh,
so
okay.
we don't have to reference something, because we list uses permitted. And this is a uses permitted except for, and so we're accepting out, and we have to identify the items that we have exception, and that's how it works. And that's how that works. So we don't have to reference the rural residential because it's not at all permitted. Nothing like that is permitted ever. And we don't care what kind of property you have, it's rural residential district.
So the Eagle Mountain House can't start putting in.
Yes, they can't all of a sudden say, I'm a commercial and I can do it because it's not
Well,
permitted.
that's an interesting, yeah.
Yes, it's
Because you know
confusing.
where I'm going with that. Because the other person who couldn't do it is further
And
up
so
the road.
what we have for rural the home business in rural residential, this would not qualify as a home business if it were less than 3 employees and the owner lived in the structure.
That's limited to one number of employees.
Right, like 3 or something, I think,
Yeah.
and the owner of the.
It's pretty confined.
I mean, they could run a poker game
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
as a rural, you know, as a home business.
We're gonna have to move to Bartlett to play a poker game. Oh,
I know you're being kind of facetious.
That's my job here.
Yeah.
And the facetious, what's it
But I
called?
know where you're getting.
Devil's advocate. I'm a
Yeah.
Facetious devil's advocate.
But 4.3.1 defines what a
Yeah.
residential, what's allowed in a residential district.
Yeah,
So,
I scrolled back up there and
Yeah.
looked at that, and I get that.
so what you are then saying is that the grandfathered businesses in the rural residential still have to follow the rural residential guidelines, so they could not.
right. They can't change their
They can't
modus
change what they
operandi.
do, because they have a restaurant
Right.
already, but they've had a restaurant grandfathered in.
Yeah. And you can't just change your business, you can't then change your commercial business to a Napa Auto Parts.
Or a water slide, or,
You can't do that. If you're,
And just
yeah,
point
if
this out, that
if your business is this is. this
Eagle
is
wants to change the first floor of that place to include
a casino.
a casino for their guests.
I mean, quite often you see like Keno is not, it's not a dedicated room, it's like a bar. or
That's what I'm saying.
restaurant where-
They have
so-
an arcade in their first floor.
So it's an accessory,
So here,
additional use of the.
here in the district regulations
Yeah, I
under
read that.
rural residential
know.
district, it does not say uses permitted include a gambling process.
No, but I'm just
No,
saying
it doesn't
is that
say-
they allow,
It doesn't say you can't, but that's because we have a zoning ordinance that says use is permitted, it's
No,
permissive.
but it doesn't say that you can have a restaurant in rural residential either.
That's correct, and so you can't.
So I think David's question is, the Eagle, whose grandfathered restaurant and et cetera, I don't see adding Keno as a change in the basic business. They're adding something new to their business, to what they're offering, but it's not, I don't see it's their.
Oh,
they're not
you can
changing-
eat Keno? You can eat Keno? No, that, the government, the state government says that Keno is a separate business. So it's adding a separate business, you have to, it's regulated by the state, in fact.
Okay. I didn't
I
know.
do wonder if it needs to be more specific about voting to opt out, and rather than just changing the language in 4.3.2.1 IB.
We can ask
Because
council as part of our process
that's
or review.
my recommendation.
And
is
so
that-
we're going to do that as part of the warrant and
Yeah,
say,
it
does
is-
this meet the requirement or do we need to have a
Right.
separate?
Does this satisfy the requirement of being an opt-out town?
And we could still do this as part of the zoning ordinance and still require, if they require a separate vote, we can still have a separate vote. So
Yeah.
I think we're good to do what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And if that gets voted, if it's not enough, then we obviously have the opportunity for a second one. We could always do more.
Well, I think doing both of those things makes sense to cover
And so this would be a
ourselves.
good opportunity
Specific
to
vote where we
check
voted
with
to opt
council.
out of games of chance, Keno and other games of chance.
Okay.
because it looks like the way they worded it is that if you're going to operate a Keno, because I don't think it has to be a building.
Right.
okay? That you have to get a license to do that. Okay?
Yep.
So they said that we can prohibit operator licenses. So if they got a license, our ordinance could say that we don't allow the licenses. So that would apply to no matter where they are, we don't allow a license. I mean, I'll write it the way we wrote it here, we approved it.
I think for purposes of the zoning ordinance, we can do what we did. I think to Bob's point, we may need to have a separate vote, town vote, that says specifically that it's not a zoning ordinance
That would be
item.
opt-out.
It has to be an opt-out.
Keno, opt-out.
And other games of chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the lawyer may say is that, okay, as far as Keno is concerned, you have to have the vote as to whether the town wants to have it or doesn't want to have it, and if they say no, then you can go ahead and put it in your ordinance.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting, this law to opt out went in 4 months ago, July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
It goes into effect on June 1st of 2027. So to your point, we could have somebody come right now and say, yeah, I want to put Keno machines in. We have no way to say no. Unless we apply the broad definition of a casino.
But if we put something together now, then that would take effect and not vote.
Until town meeting.
Until town meeting.
Actually, it would take effect as of the public hearing.
Yes.
But I thought you said, okay,
And it could be rescinded by the town meeting.
Could be rescinded.
If it's not voted forward, yes.
so we could end it in January.
Right. So, if you're gonna do that Keno thing, better get going.
Okay.
Well, certainly something like this will prompt anyone that's thinking about that sort of thing to move forward quickly.
But you guys have a lot of stuff to do to review that application before you review it. You have so much other work. That would be delayed until sometime in February.
I would think, yeah. All right,
Okay.
groundwater runoff.
Perfect.
This is, Burr, was going to provide us with some additional language, on groundwater runoff, to amend the, site disturbance, to provide for some additional language. I don't believe I have that from him, and not having the language in front of us to vote on, I would defer this action.
Fine.
I'll make that motion if you're looking for a motion.
To defer?
Yeah. I don't think we can't come up with groundwater runoff language ourselves without Burr.
I don't think so. So, I have a motion to defer.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Short-term rental applications this
None.
week? None, thank you very much. Planning Board Forum meeting update, I did not do minutes to that, David was not around. We heard from Mike and the police board, needs for the police department, and I will update those minutes and get those available. Basically, his note was that most of the things he noted were things that are current, not really capital improvement program things. They were more things that are already in the process, with the exception of, I think, conversation around cruisers, which are, again, already into our capital improvement plan. The one thing that we did talk about is that over a longer period of time, he felt that it would be appropriate for them to have a slightly larger facility than what they currently have, but no more than 3,000 square feet. And
Something's coming available.
and that ideally they would have something that they would be able to park cruisers that was covered.
I think we have something up in the next one.
I heard something about that, possibly, but those were the two things that he identified that would be longer term. Another input I got from library folks between the last meeting and now is regarding lighting and lighting in and around the area for the parking lot. The walk down to the parking area is dark. And there are lights here, lights there. If you go between, there's nothing. And then when you get down to the parking lot itself, it's dark.
Yes.
And that is something that, from a capital improvement program position, just referring to ensuring there are lighting on the campus here is appropriate. Everybody uses the down area parking, not just the library. And so the lighting is less than it should be
Is the
for safety
parking lot the
purposes.
library or is
It's
it
not the
town?
library's lot, it's a town's lot,
Okay.
but the library uses it a lot.
No, I'm
for
saying
events
it's more of a town cost.
and- Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Because there's the lighting, I use that parking lot
Yes.
a lot.
yeah,
Lighting is
and the lighting's
poor.
poor. And so, again, identified as something that should be attended to from a capital improvement perspective.
Is there any plans for any lighting off of the back of the fire, like up here? next
Yeah,
to
there's
it?
a couple lights that are gonna be in down there.
Because I agree with you, I mean, I think the whole campus area,
Could do a little bit better job.
if it meets the lighting zoning ordinance.
20 degrees,
Downlighting,
20-degree angle.
20 degrees or less.
Got it. I do love the red doors, by the way. Okay. Wow.
I hear a motion? Is there a motion? Is that a motion?
That's
a
motion.
literal motion.
That's motion,
I second it.
yes.
We have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor?
Hey,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
yeah, good.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Sarah.
Recording stopped.
It'd take a lot of time.
It's like, I just want us to do it right, you know?
No, I feel like, I love that.
Try to be on the housing committee.
I think, and I don't,
Are you waiting for the
hop into
unveil?
those like operational questions, but I believe that if you in plastic, we meet every day. That's the thing to
And a
ask, but-
10-member board.
Because I don't wanna like
Really? Yeah.
come in as a
Everybody
selectman
shows up,
and
so.
make it sound like I'm
Well, that's
wanting
great,
somebody to do
isn't it?
something, right?
Yeah.
They're the-
Trying
they're the
to
pro-
corral
I believe
the
those
discussion.
are still, that's
10
still
people.
up until the posted
Focus on
beam
one
gets erected.
passionate.
You want to kill the camera?
You know, the posts that are up there, there's gonna be beams coming across.
There are?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So I believe that they're